Affordable Housing Trust to order. We'll begin with a roll call.
Sandy Slavin.
Jim Manise.
And Carl Schultz, seeing that we have a quorum, I think we can proceed. Jim, did you send the minutes out? You sent the minutes out,
I
right?
had sent them out
Before.
in
So,
April.
Yes, you did. So,
Do you have them, Sandra?
We must have them. It's hard to believe I don't have them.
yes, so this is the meeting for March, right?
Correct.
Yes. So,
I can resend them if you.
no, I have them. I just wanted to make sure we were, Sandy is set. So the first item of business is to approve the agenda.
No, approve the minutes.
I'm sorry, the minutes.
I have reviewed the March 15th, 2024 minutes and find them to be complete and accurate and recommend approval.
A second? I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes unanimously.
And for the record, we need to put in our minutes that our meeting of April 9th was not held because we didn't have a quorum if anybody's trying to match.
So would that be in these minutes? I was gonna do a separate one and just say we didn't meet, but
No,
I'll
you
put them
can
in
put 'em-
today's minutes? All
You
right.
can put them in this one that the meeting,
Okay. I will.
someone's, yeah, the 4-9 never happened.
Here we go.
Okay.
I'm having trouble with my,
How you been?
Pretty good.
Busy, busy, busy?
Yeah, I had a meeting with the bank just before lunch. with the
Good.
underwriter, so that's moving along.
Ah, good.
Yeah, no, things are coming together.
okay. There we go. Okay. All right, so we approved the minutes for March 15th, 2024, 300. There was a request that we make a note in the minutes for this meeting that no meeting was held in April due to a lack of quorum. Okay. And just for the note, under items not expected in under 24 hours at the end of the meeting, I'd like to bring up an attendance issue. Okay, so moving on. We're working on improving our processes. We worked a lot to improve our application process, and we actually got 2 applications last year. One thing that we didn't actually do, and it just never occurred to me, it was just in my inexperience, we let the applicants know, bless you, we let the applicants know that we had voted on making a award, but we never actually sent them any kind of formal communication notifying the award and any conditions. So I'd like to discuss that as a concept and get your thoughts.
Of course. Certainly something we should do, so they have a formal record that we have approved expenditures for their project.
Mr. Dees, any thoughts?
I mean, makes sense. He was at the bank today. They'd probably like to see something unless
So,
you,
yeah, absolutely, the banks are looking for that,
Yeah.
for support.
Okay, so I think it's a great idea too. Have we done that before? Did we do that for Latham, or do we have
I
a
don't
sample?
remember it for Latham, and that's the only one we issued any money for, and I don't remember.
we sent
a form.
them a letter saying that we had approved $100,000.
To
Okay.
Latham itself?
Yeah, what was the woman's name? It's through Latham, but she was a director.
Okay, so
I don't have my phone with me for that project.
So-
It's hard to believe we didn't.
my only reason for bringing it up was could it serve as a model for us to leverage, or it's too old?
Age wouldn't have anything to do with it. It would be as simple as, on this date, the Affordable Housing Trust approved the grant request to by Z for dollars And that's as simple as that.
But don't we need to list the conditions or expectations,
I
like?
would,
Yes,
okay,
Like-
and
like-
if there be a formal, deed affordable housing restriction
restriction, yeah.
on the property.
Okay, any other,
There wouldn't be anything else.
Number of years,
Well, normally it goes for.
In
was it
perpetuity,
In perpetuity or 30, one or the other. Because you know the buildings aren't gonna last in perpetuity, but the land will. So it should be affordable housing restriction in perpetuity.
okay.
it might even be spelled, is that spelled out in our,
Well, there are some things in our charter.
right?
The deed restriction is in the charter. Other things we've talked about,
In the application anyhow, wasn't it?
yeah. There's some things we have in the application we can put forward. The other thing, I think the timing of the grant issuance will not be until after the COA has been received. Is that correct? Or certificate of
No,
occupancy?
no.
Let's just use that one.
We don't need a certification of occupancy because we're gonna be giving them money during construction.
Correct. And that's what the bank
Wa-
did.
Once we have a proof of a deed restriction, they can request money at any time.
Okay, well, we haven't talked through that, so the
No,
process,
but-
that's
but
why I'm bringing it
There
up.
is nothing here that says they have to be occupied in order to get our grant, because they're gonna need that money during construction or whatever, and we've never, even under Latham, we never restricted their funds.
We didn't give them any funds until everything was done,
And no,
including,
until we had a
including
deed restriction.
restriction and the occupancy permit.
That's why I
I
got, I
don't
think,
remember the occupancy permit being a requirement, it was a deed restriction.
all right, we're agreed on the deed restriction.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to see if we need to let them know of any other conditions.
well, I think it's, again, spelt out in our bylaws, rules and organization.
I can check.
Because CPC does not require an occupancy permit.
No, well,
They just need a deed restriction in order to release the CPA funds. Why would we be any different?
I guess, I mean, you don't have to. And that's a condition of it, having the deed restriction.
Okay, hang on, I'm looking, there shall be purpose, tenure,
Well, you're getting
meetings.
housing from, well, in that case, you're getting funding from a number of sources.
We're getting grants, 3 different grants, correct.
So we would like to try to have one document. And maybe it could be, which we did for Latham, I believe.
What do you mean, one document?
We sign on to the
On the
states
town side?
and the federal, we sign on to their document. It's a rider, in a sense. It just makes it simple, they do all the legwork, the legal work. As long as we can agree to the length of the restriction, I don't know if you've done that with them or not, but,
That would be Lynn.
yeah. So,
rental units. Yours are all gonna be rental units, right, Steve?
Correct.
Yeah, there's nothing in our charter, Jim, that says,
Proof of occupancy?
proof of occupancy. It does say it has to create an affordable unit.
Yeah. And this deed restriction goes for the structure and the land. The property. So if something happens in the house, something happens and they have to rebuild, they must still rebuild under affordable because the land is affordable.
Okay, although you can, just talking through process, if you have an affordable unit and you make an attempt to market it and
That's for purchase,
That's for purchase.
and we don't have that issue here.
So if Mr. Boschman were to try and sell his property,
He could have, the deed restriction would go with it.
Travels with it.
He has the right to sell it as is, but the deed restriction would still be in place.
okay, but there, under other properties, if you try and sell it and you can't get it,
The selectmen have to release the restriction,
okay,
and that's what happened to that property down in Onset. They would not release the restriction, and, the woman lost the property,
okay,
but it still remained deed restricted,
okay.
right? I mean, yes.
That was, I think, pre-me.
Charles in place, yeah.
That was before me.
Yeah, all right, do we need to say anything
So-
about that in our, okay, I'm just trying to get to the point where we all agree on the,
I think this should be as simple as we could, how much money, the date we approved it, and we require a proof of, deed restriction in perpetuity for the release of the funds.
And if, this is general, nothing to do with the project you two are here. So if you give them funds beforehand, anyone, what guarantees the completion of the project?
There isn't any. There isn't any.
So normally, I mean, with, say, planning, roads and this and that, it's bonded and/or either cash or bonding. I don't know how the state, if they put their funds up first.
So the requirement from the bank is that the grant money's been, excuse me, is gonna be spent first on the project before they release funds.
Okay.
Code 5.
yeah, but what about, help us with your grants from the state. If you were to fail and not complete the project, what happens with their funds? Is there any hook?
No, nothing that I'm aware of. I mean,
When do they release them?
at the closing,
Closing of,
or we close the deal.
But that's not closing for that's not
There's gonna
completion
be-
of
There's
it.
gonna be a closing with the state, with the town, with the banks all at once, from my understanding from when. But I know, Cape Cod 5 said that we're gonna spend the grant money on the project first.
of course they would. If I was a bank, I would too. And I'm just sorry about.
No, I just want to get it, this is the first one I've done, and there's
Sure.
not a lot of history for me to build on,
First one I've done too.
so. Chuck, have you done anything like this before?
No, I haven't, that's why I
All right,
enjoy being here, learning.
To whom it may concern, on this date, the Wareham Affordable Housing Trust granted, the name of the project, $50,000, whatever, what was it?
$50,000.
$50,000,
and it
for
was
this project.
for construction.
No, $50,000 for this project. Doesn't have to say construction. It could very well be used for engineering.
That I would have
Construction
considered,
is dirt in the ground, shovel
Okay.
in the ground.
I would have considered engineering construction, but okay,
What-
I understand your,
For the project.
For the
However it might be used, it's up to them. And that it requires a, affordable housing deed restriction, in perpetuity for release of the funds, or something as simple as that. When we approved it, how much we approved, and what is the restriction? The restriction is the deed. As simple as that.
yeah,
I'm not gonna put any other hooks in it.
we.
You can have your own we, but I would not support any other hooks in it.
Okay. Don't be difficult.
Did you hear that?
Okay. Jim, any other thoughts? Now, to whom it may concern, or could we just say to the applicant? I could address it, I'll look at the application. Who-
Do the application, sure.
To the
6, 7,
company,
9, all six.
the company that submitted the grant request to us.
Right, yeah, we granted money to somebody who filled out
Yeah,
the application. I gotta pull up the application to find out what the name on it was, but, okay. So so I'm looking for,
I would think that you'd want it to be, you're utilizing this for your private funding, right? In order to secure it between what the state granted you, which is 400 and something thousand,
440.
and our 50. You need to provide proof that we've guaranteed an award of X
Right,
amount
we
of
got a letter of
dollars.
support
That's what you
from the
want.
CPC, and we're looking for a letter of support from the housing
That
trust.
we
So Sadie,
awarded
did you guys,
$50,000.
did you
blah,
guys
blah,
send them a
blah.
letter from the CPC?
We didn't have to, we have the certified, article from town meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, so yours was, that's how it was documented there.
So
Okay,
here is a promise certified by the town clerk that this was the vote and the amount of money issued for whatever project it
Okay.
was.
Right, there was a couple of different projects. but-
And we did ask that, we have a grant request, a grant agreement that is work in progress. CPC has a grant request, a grant agreement in progress with this entity.
would we have such a grant agreement?
I have one from Latham. I'm looking at it right now.
Probably.
All right. So
You probably have it, Carl.
should,
Yeah.
should we put that in the letter?
Nope,
The need for a grant agreement?
nope. I don't think so.
I'm just trying to,
I.
how would he know then that if he weren't here, that we would want a grant
We
agreement?
would ask him to sign one. But
Great.
not, but it could very well be that that grant agreement. We did it for Latham because Bowen suggested it. But that's an agreement, I don't remember the funds being linked to it.
The agreement?
Yeah, what does it say in the agreement, Jim?
Of course, I left my folder for Latham at home, trying to reduce the weight of my bag.
Funding is recommended by the CPC, blah, 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 $100,000. That was one part of the contract. And we gave them 100 also, right?
Latham got a hundred from us and 100 from CPC.
Right. Contract liability to the town, payments, termination. I will fund this, let me send this to both of you, because it's a bit of, and because it was, this is one that Bowen had sent us, so it has a different, because it was CPC, the selectmen signed off on that one. Let me go back. So anyhow, you need Mr. Bauschman needs a letter stating that we voted and agreed to award $50,000 for the project at Six Chapel?
Correct.
Yeah,
And,
For a deed, for a deed.
subject,
subject to a deed restriction and, an agreement signed by the parties or something. And if they need more, we can do that.
I'm sure that'll,
But it's just kinda.
Yeah.
It's 18.
Of course, I'm not finding it.
okay. So here's where I've ended up. So far, we haven't voted. From the application, I will get the name of the applicant, name of the entity, address and such. That will be in the, the address block. Then I'll say to either you as the applicant or Ms. Sweet, I don't know who signed the application. I think probably you. The Wareham Affordable Trust is pleased to notify you that at our meeting of, I'll go back and find the date, the Wareham Affordable Housing Trust awarded a grant of $50,000 to the project at 6 Chapel Lane, subject to a deed restriction on the property in perpetuity and an agreement between the parties. And it could be
A grant agreement.
a grant agreement between the parties. And that, we don't know what form that would take, and we can work that out,
And I just have a copy of what we did for CPC for this project.
okay? And anything similar to this? You're having a grant agreement, and you didn't have to send a letter because of the town. Okay.
No, we didn't,
No, I'm just
No.
summarizing. All right, but I'll send you that letter, assuming we vote.
when they asked CPC for proof of they got it, I sent them the certified copy of the article from the town clerk.
Right,
I thought that was sufficient.
and it's so far, I'm not, yeah,
No,
I was
that
just,
Yeah, the state received that and, Cape Cod 5 received that.
That should have been sufficient, correct?
They were happy with what they received,
Yeah.
correct.
Jim, just make sure I have all the license. I know you sent it to me
I
before.
sent you the
but-
file, right?
Yeah, I know, let's just, I'll double
Latham
check.
funding process files.
Yeah, okay. Did you send it
The
again?
other one, the agreement I was talking about for the deed restriction, as long as we in the state and the feds agree, it's called a joinder agreement. The minutes where it was approved, and on theirs, we, because it was to be paid after the completion of it.
Right,
Certificate of occupancy. Grant agreement as of, this was back in 2020, and warrant payment confirmation, which I sent all those to you, I believe.
you did.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, check your folder, and if you don't,
Yep, okay. I'm looking for a motion to authorize me to send a letter to,
So moved.
sure, second, by Manise.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so
Um,
I'll get that letter out. What's your timing?
They said,
Yeah, I know, but,
Yesterday.
how much on the end of the week,
okay.
that work for you?
Oh, yeah,
Okay, I'll send something out to Lynn Time that
So,
yeah,
should be receiving something for the end of the week.
okay,
That'll be good on our side, that'll just keep things moving.
okay. You wanna just, well,
that to the Cape Cod 5, or?
I'm gonna send it to them, whatever they do with it.
Yeah, if you send forward it to us, correct.
Okay, all right.
So there was another grant agreement of $445,000.
That's from the state side.
That's
Mhm.
the state side.
Okay,
Instead
so
of deed restriction and
in perpetuity and an agreement.
Yeah,
Just
it's-
a grant agreement,
yeah,
and that's all I'm gonna say.
yeah. The grant, the deed restriction perpetuity and a grant agreement.
Yes. Those are the only
Sorry.
conditions, those are the only conditions that we've identified at the moment.
Yes.
Okay. So, that moves us into open items. I don't see anyone here. Don't leave, because I want to come to your item.
We'll set that.
Chapel Lane's down.
Under pending grants, I see no one from Woodland Cove. That, moving forward on that, I am hung up with town administration signing the agreement with Wingate to do the grant administration. So I am okay, you need a drink?
You know, too much dust and pollen and work in the yard.
Yeah. You okay?
Yep.
Okay. I have been pressing the town to sign that letter or give me a reason they're not gonna sign it. The pressure is somewhat lessened because Woodland Cove hasn't gotten a certificate of occupancy. Now, in that case, the grant award is really subject to them having renters. That's a rental
Yes,
grant, so they
yes.
actually have to be done with construction.
They need people in there in order to
Right.
get the money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, should I send them a similar letter?
No, because no.
Okay. Nobody's asking for it on their
No,
side.
you're not, I don't think so. I think, haven't we already acknowledged that we would use the money to assist the first rental, assist with rental, the rent expenses. God damn, Sandy.
For 56 units in phase one,
Yes,
and it's up to $1,000 is what?
maximum of $1,000
Yes,
per unit.
Per unit, yeah, okay. I'm still waiting for the rental, or for the agreement to come back from the town.
Plus their occupancy permits.
Yes, they can't move forward ahead with doing anything
Then they
until
can provide us the information on the number of units that have been let. And I don't know what are the further information, occupants or otherwise.
Yeah, they're supposed to provide us a report every month or whatever of,
On how the money has
Been
been
used,
applied to,
applied.
how many people, and I don't care who they are, but how many people they've been applied to.
right,
I feel sorry for the people who gave notice where they're currently renting, thinking they were moving into Woodland Cove in February, March, April, May.
December,
And they still don't have, I
Right.
hope they found a place to be interim, waiting for this to open up.
well, I hope they can just get through whatever issues they have with the town on gaining the occupancy, make the corrections. I think they did go in front of the ZBA for a change on the drainage. It was, yeah, it wasn't a huge thing, I don't think.
3 weeks back.
It was approved, right?
Mhm.
So they were working on that.
Something to do with what was the, degree
It
of,
was a 5% degree,
yeah,
5 degree, I'm sorry, away from the slope,
right, it was the slope away from the building.
yeah.
and that was it. So they built it incorrectly. They
Yes.
didn't build it to code.
Right.
Any other things that are pending
Not
for
that I'm,
occupancy? So that would be the only thing inspectional
That's all I
services would
saw.
have?
That's
Yeah.
all I saw on
Mm.
ZBA.
Oh, silly.
and they wanted to start construction, or fix the problem after people moved in, and,
Yeah,
Don't see inspectional services allowing that to happen. You've gotta be right to begin with.
right, okay. So nothing else there, I will continue to work with the town to get the agreement with Wingate Partners, and we'll deal with that when that's done.
did you send out, a notice to them that we were meeting today?
Yes, I did, they're copied on the agenda every time. If I don't hear from them shortly, we can, I'll follow up. Okay, so I have to write a letter. That's just, okay. Do you want to just give us an update on Chapel Lane?
An update on Chapel Lane?
Yeah, what's just,
Fences going up. Permits, paperwork's being, the application's, just about ready. As soon as we get to go with the bank, we'll, put the permit through. 45, 60-day closing time for my last meeting with the bank, which was a couple weeks back, so we're 45 days out. I would hope July, August, start the foundations. It'll depend on what the crew, how the crew's looking.
good,
That's my thoughts on that.
And you have to show the state the funding also, right? Proof of funding within X amount of days, was it 60 or something?
Yeah, within the, yes, within
Yeah.
the 60 days, that was part of our letter that we sent back to them. That's why. when you
Yeah, I
said how it's
understand.
on that letter,
Yeah,
yeah, because we got the one from Sandy, we got this one here, in Cape Cod 5, and the grant from the state.
good, okay.
That's where we're at.
All right, next item was just, we have some swirling in the ionosphere of possible applications, two of which are yours. You have not submitted any other applications at this point, is that correct?
I am waiting for this project to
Yeah.
finish, and then we're going in front of selectmen for the applications on both, 20 Depot and 15 Gibbs Ave.
Right, and you've
She
not,
said to me, Stephen, we're gonna finish this one here, which should be shortly, and then bang. She has all the paperwork from Anthony, the architect. 20's done on paper, 15's as far as we're gonna go, and I'm not spending any more money until I get the application from the lips. I've already, I've
That
done
wouldn't-
that vote. I need it, you know what I mean, I need to be comfortable spending any more.
okay, that's just an update. And you guys are still planning to partner on that? Is that correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
You were the recipient of the award
That's
for
correct,
Sixth Chapel.
yeah.
Will
And
you be looking for funds
No, for
from
Gibbs, not for Chapel.
CPC for these two
For
projects?
Chapel?
I would love to
Okay.
have a conversation.
When do you, okay, because
that's right,
second
it caused some
Monday, second
confusion.
Tuesday in July is the deadline for October.
So July. 15th, is it?
Whatever the second Monday is, but for the grant request for consideration at the October town meeting. You're looking for funds for us to support?
On both, if you
Well,
would, please.
May I, discussion point. Our funds came from CPC for $150,000.
Correct.
If we apply $50,000 to each of his projects, then we have to go back to CPC for asking more funds.
We need to decide if we need to put an application in for,
Well, here's my question. Why not go to CPC for the total of the two?
I agree with that. And we'll-
Directly to CPC instead of taking our money, which means we have to go to CPC to be replenished. So
and
if you're
provide a
gonna
letter of
ask
support.
If you're gonna ask CPC for $100,000 and us for $50,000, then ask CPC for $150,000. Therefore, you don't take from our coffers.
And ask us for a letter of support.
Can I comment on that? Without offending anybody?
Go ahead.
If I ask you folks for 50,000, the board meets right here and says yes or no, I know where I'm getting it. If you do, I got 50, I know I do. If I ask for 150 from CPC and it gets turned down, I got nothing to do.
You come back.
yeah, that is the advantage we were supposed to offer, what he
Okay,
described.
I'm good with that.
But-
If you say to me, Stephen, you can come back and apply, beautiful. But
All you ask from us is a letter of support
What
for
if
the
there are
project.
what if there are no funds when I come back? Say there's 2 or 3 other projects that come, or project that asks for whatever's in the kitty.
If we
Yeah.
spend our $150,000, we know 50,000 has been dedicated for phase 2 of Woodland Cove. We're gonna have to go back to CPC to ask for replenishment, but the idea that our funds were gonna take care of a need for a quick turnaround.
Okay.
Funding your projects would not be a quick turnaround for that 150 CPAs. Something to consider.
That,
But there has been success at town meeting for funding privately sponsored affordable units. 801,
Right.
Sixth
Yeah,
Chapel.
the town has turned a little bit on their attitude on that.
The selectmen have turned on, and FinCom have turned on their, seeing the need of the only way to get affordable units in the town of Wareham is to support the smaller, efforts for affordable housing.
Littleton
We
Drive,
had 300,000 for Littleton Drive without a bat,
380 was it? Or 300?
300,000.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, without a consideration when we looked at the total cost of that project. So it's something for you to consider as opposed to draining our funds, which means we have to go back to CPC to support our funds, take it directly from CPC.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we have $5 million sitting in CPC, we gotta find a way to spend it. Or people are gonna say, we don't need CPC, you got too much money, you can't spend it. We're gonna drop you from 3% to 1%.
No, the only thing I
Well, I
can,
get a letter of support from you guys saying, yeah, we support
yes,
the
yes.
board.
Yeah,
yes,
Da-da-da-da, we're gonna flip you over to CPC, absolutely.
and there is no prejudice. If you weren't to get the money, you could always come back to us.
Okay,
And I
That's
can
fine.
tell you, we don't have a long line of people right now.
okay,
Like, we're trying to get more, but
sure.
We only have 2 projects.
you're
You're
too.
2. Nothing else has come before us.
You know, we
There
had,
was a little one,
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, on West
a
Street,
young
was
couple
it?
in town.
down West
West
Wareham
Street?
someplace.
West
Yeah,
Street,
yes,
wasn't
they
it?
haven't come back, though.
Yeah.
They haven't come back.
Okay,
I heard of another project in West Wareham, and I wonder if it was up for the folks. Actually, I have his number.
It was Angel and, I forget what.
Josh,
Josh, yes, that's his name.
4 West Street.
Is that West Wareham?
Yep.
Is it? Okay. It could have been that, because I just had a conversation with one of the guys about a project coming up, and they were looking for some referrals, and it was a West Wareham project. Good. I know they had owned the land already.
Correct.
Yep.
Right. And then we were going to try and help some of the manufactured housing, but we haven't, there's nothing come down the pike on that.
No, there's nothing out of that, mobile home park that bought it themselves.
Royal Crest, yeah,
But there hasn't been anything coming down there.
no. Now, what about you? Have you got needs that fall into our,
Have I gotten any what?
needs that fall into our domain,
Not,
other than 15 Gibbs, which we're working?
other than these, nothing. I actually am a resident of Mattapoisett.
Mm-hmm.
Your entity, not you personally.
No, and I'm trying to get things going in Mattapoisett, so this helps. No, we're following Steve's lead at this point,
Okay,
out of Turning Point.
Will you please make note of this? On August 8th, 2023, we approved the 50,000, so you don't go looking.
oh, okay.
8/8/23 is when we approved 300.
And it was a
For the
grant
50,000.
application, right?
Mm-hmm. At least that's my note says.
Whatever the grant
Six Chapel
application,
Lane LLC, 50,000. 8/8/23.
So the second Monday in July, the application needs to be in for grant request from CPC.
Yes.
And that's the 9th.
It's the July 9th? Thank you, John. Okay. So Sandy, let me ask you this, as we're having this conversation, if you don't mind. If I ask them for 250 and 250 per project, am I out of line?
It would be considered, we'd take a look at the total cost of the project and see what percent of it you're asking us to fund.
Okay.
It won't hurt.
Yeah, I mean, this project was 2,122.
Yeah,
And we got,
As long as you can say, this is the estimated cost, especially if I take a look at 15 Gibbs, when you're looking at 20+ units.
Yeah.
I
it's gonna be-
can
it's a big
expect a fairly decent support for that project, because it's not gonna be cheap. Well, the one on the,
On the, no, on
20
the
at
corner is
Depot.
$1 million. That's
there's,
what I'm guessing,
Yeah.
in my mind, you know what I mean, it's half of what we're doing. Len asked me that, we had that conversation, I was like 970, I said, put $1 million down.
you know, so if you say you're looking for 200,000,
That's a large portion of that project.
that's a large
Well,
portion.
But if we
But
went with 10%
100,000.
of each,
Yeah,
okay,
I
that's,
would tend to
I
think that would.
mean, I don't wanna ask for something that I'm gonna,
No, I would
That's
tend to
too
think
much.
that would be
That's-
extremely reasonable, that a 10% support, not only that, it is a small amount of money in compared to the project, but it shows the local support for the project, should someone say, well, who's
to
gonna?
the state and or to the
Yeah,
banks.
you can say that, well, CPC, it meets our requirements, but it's been approved at town meeting, which shows support of the residents for this particular project.
Okay.
Sorry, I
and it's
went
done,
off
it's
topic.
done as a lip.
No, our mission is
Correct.
to
This is,
further
yeah, both
They
these
got-
are
housing.
Yes,
So,
sir.
so you'd be getting that approved first, so that
That's-
shows
that's our
support
next
from the
move.
select board,
Once we
right?
close this here in 6 Chapel Lane, bang, we're gonna be in front of the selectmen to get a letter of support
And
for both
that they're
projects.
supporting under a lip program.
Correct. Yeah.
So that's a good first step, you get their support, right?
Yeah, we need 2 letters. We need the letter that we have received from this board for both projects, which we have. We need a letter from the selectmen for support on both projects. And then we can start spending some.
Because it's not a lip until they approve it. They approve the
Not-
project
it's
as a
not-
lip.
One more time?
It's not a local initiative program until the select board approves that
Correct.
project,
Yeah, we need a letter of support from the selectmen, then we can.
that they
Then I don't have a
approved it.
problem spending money.
Right.
Okay, all right, that's it for the, out in the ether. I have
So-
been trying, oh, go ahead.
No. So Jimmy, you were thinking the same along I was, then why not go to CPC for all the money
I've
as
said
opposed to
that.
taking
Oh.
ours? So I was glad to hear that. You
I've
were-
said that all along, that I'd rather not see a double dip, go to the bigger pot, and
Yeah.
we'll support it, as long as we
Yeah.
feel that we should support it, because it's a good project. One thing I'd like to see in all projects going forward, especially the larger ones, is a larger spread amongst the population that would be eligible. So it wouldn't just all be at the 80%. That makes it eligible, but you could have
Go
some
right
at
down to
60.
30%.
Right, so maybe in the calculations when you're working it out, how can we have a mix so that we're taking care of a larger group of people, you know, whether they're low income, moderate income?
Right, I think the HCD is gonna put a restriction on that. It's gonna authorize who and what the restrictions are, if any, on that side of it.
But that's at 80%, all of them, right?
They're all at 80%
Right.
AMIs.
But I'm saying, be nice
But
to see the
even
mix.
though we're saying that
It-
we're asking for an 80% AMI, there's nothing stopping us from taking a person that's at 30% AMI.
No, but I think what Jim is saying is if you did your finances and said, okay, I have a model that says
Correct.
25% are gonna be at 80, 25% are gonna be at 60, and 20,
So what's that model gonna do for me? Let me ask you that.
it's what it's gonna do for people. When I said when you do your financial model, it has to work for you. But I think that's what he's, can we do a model that, and I don't, maybe it doesn't work.
And then you ask for
So, yeah.
more financial assistance from the funding groups because you're addressing a larger group of need who don't have the funds to pay the larger rent.
So let me ask you this. How's the rent paid by an applicant that comes in?
For
If
who?
they're-
For who?
For me
Like
as a landlord.
for Woodland
Me-
Cove?
Well,
No,
let's,
me
we
as a
could,
landlord.
let's use Woodland Cove as an example.
Okay,
We gave them a tranche of funds, and we're signing an agreement that they're gonna administer that tranche of funds to eligible applicants. They vet the applicants, which you would have to do anyway. And they then apply, they don't give the money to the applicant.
right,
They apply,
right, to their monthly
To the
portion
rent.
of their rent.
that's how it works.
For the first $1,000.
And
That-
whatever
that's
the grant,
how-
well, that was what that grant was.
I don't think that's what, I think Jim is asking, when you look at, okay, I'm going to have 30 units at Gibbs,
Yeah,
10% will be something at
30%. Yeah,
10% will be at
50.
50 or 60 or something like that, where you have accommodated a minimal amount of
Mix of,
dwellings available for someone who could do a 30. Now, who pays it? I don't know whether the state will compensate
well,
you, or
generally,
more than likely that would be the case, or the applicant can write a check. I don't know, but there has to, I would like to see something in a document to say that I'm going to take care of a population that doesn't have 80% of the mean,
Particularly in our market.
yes.
Right.
I was going a different way. I thought he asked how would it be administered.
No.
I misunderstood.
I'm looking for his documents to say that there is a condition, there is a consideration for lower income affordable program.
But then,
Low,
okay, I agree.
low income, moderate income.
But then, he could come to us for a grant and say, this is why I need the money. Look,
correct. And the
Look.
same with the
Okay,
state.
that could very, and state, this is because I am taking a hit on my possible
That's
rental,
correct.
because I'm going to go to a lower rent, fee, I'll need more assistance to compensate for what I'm losing at an 80%,
Right.
or some.
that's an approach.
Right, it is an approach.
And it's
I mean,
also in
even
our,
upfront, the funding upfront, you might be able to do something, if you're hitting that population, greater grant award perhaps.
Correct.
Upfront, and then in the back end, find
Mm-hmm.
funds somewhere,
If the funds are available.
if the funds are available. And
That's the problem.
in an ongoing stream.
You're not getting anything in writing or guaranteed.
state
Okay, well,
state and federal are more, from my experience looking at it, they support things which cover a wider group of population, and the more need
I
there
don't
is.
have a problem with that, to be honest with you guys. Hear me out. I'm here to help whoever needs a helping hand. I came from nothing. I mean,
Well,
nothing.
me too.
If it wasn't for the neighbors, the four of us kids probably wouldn't have eaten every day, honest to God. So my outlook is, and I've said this to you, Chuck, if we're taking on a tenant that's in need, as long as they appreciate and respect the neighbors and respect the buildings that we're presenting, I'll take care of you in 100 days, whatever a day, no questions asked. But the funds have to be available for the project to be viable.
Right, nobody's asking you to go out of business or
No, I
anything.
mean,
Correct, right.
That's, and if the state, you know, if Lynn said to Stephen, you know something, the state has a grant for $10 million to put up 30 units. I think this is the way to fly. Lynn, let's do it, you're the boss.
Yeah, you ask for a
It
larger
has to
amount.
be-
You're right, the populations.
I don't have,
Not tough.
really guys, I'm here to help anybody.
Just not all at the 80%,
Right.
No.
Right,
because 80% is what, almost
I can't-
$100,000?
I can't afford it.
it is.
Yeah, I mean, what's a house in town?
I didn't make that.
Just a regular house is 500,000.
Yeah,
Who can afford it? And have a couple of kids running around that need a pair of sneakers, you know, every 6 months? Trust me, they get it. It's crazy.
And it's also, it's written in our, I call it bylaws, charters, what you want to call it, that programs, under, is it the 60% or 60%, 50% level will be given greater
Preference.
consideration or
Correct,
preference.
I saw it.
So that's,
Yeah.
we're trying to drive that. We don't want anybody to go out of
Let me ask you
business.
this, with that being said, can this board ask CPC for $1 million to contribute to programs?
It won't go.
I'm just asking, you know what I'm saying?
Well,
To fulfill your needs for guys to come in.
They're gonna be extremely, tell us, prove it, what do you need?
yeah, we
I
gotta,
want
we
the
gotta
docu-
build, we gotta build our track record up.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, how many, 10+ years ago, you got the 60,000, you're now spending it, now you've asked for 150, okay, we'll let you play with 150, but I'm not sure if you have to prove that you spent it wisely for
Mhm.
affordable units, that's something that couldn't wait for a 9-month turnaround for a town meeting.
Right,
And if,
and we need to do better
I'm just throwing it
advertising.
out there, I'm just bouncing,
No,
you
I
know, where
just-
you would mention, hey, there's $5 million over
Yeah.
there. If you could receive more funds here to delegate it,
Because it's gonna be, what would we do, this board do with the Whalian that couldn't be done with CPC other than town meeting vote?
unless it was,
I don't think town
Because our
meeting-
vote,
I
our
don't
vote
think-
was close. Right, it was like 106 to 75. It was close.
that's not bad.
It was close, though.
That's not really close for town meeting, but
No?
Yeah,
What
but
did you
was-
need?
it
Did
was
you
when
need
we were
a
in the driver's
2/3
seat.
or a simple majority on that?
that was,
it was, I think
It
it's
was
just,
a majority.
just simple majority,
So that's,
by one,
you know, that's not real close. You
But
need
I-
a 2/3.
But you've had some people that I don't think, that talked about giving money to a private entity.
Yeah.
You need more people to say, yes, but it's only the private entities that are giving us affordable units. And I think that's why 801 was approved.
yeah, we're not getting
Dominic's
not-for-profit,
no
there's,
longer on
there's not,
FinCom, and he's the major voice against it.
yes,
Who?
Dominic. He's had his 9 years.
Yeah, but I think Dominic was, I'll shut up.
No, he's.
well, but
very-
he hasn't come forward with any
No.
affordable projects to build.
No, Dominic was opposed to the project for giving money to
Oh,
a
private.
for-profit.
Yeah, for-
Right.
yeah.
And when Lynn spoke up and said that we had partnered with Turning Point, he didn't step up to the mic and said, Jesus, I'm sorry, guys, I
Uh-oh.
shouldn't have said that.
Oh,
That's my thoughts out loud.
And you're capped at how much you can make.
One more time?
You're capped at how much you can make on rental and/or overall development by the state and federal government. How much you can make in a year over the actual costs and stuff, it's like 20% or something.
Okay.
I mean, this is stuff I've read, and it's been a while, but there's checks and balances in there,
There are
yeah.
Okay,
50,
more
80.
checks perhaps than.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's public funds, so people get very,
Yeah, right.
you know, discussion, need, blah, blah, blah,
all right,
general.
any more on this
Coffee.
top?
Yeah,
We'll
that's
work,
a good idea.
we're appreciative that you both come. We
Thank
need
you
to
very
get,
much.
we need to
Thanks,
get the
Chuck.
word
Nice
out.
meeting you
Really.
again.
Chuck, let other people know, we can do grants. People who come to you for need, we have small amounts for grants.
I will, thank you.
I spoke to an individual, just to give you an idea, who couldn't afford the down payment on an affordable unit, I said, apply for a grant. Perhaps we can give you funds to buy, so you don't have to put up the entire down payment.
Sure.
We could restrict it and say it's gotta be paid back, but there are things we can do. We didn't vote on that. I threw that out as an idea, but we're not getting people coming through the doors looking for
Well,
help.
someone has to put an application in.
Right, and we gotta let them know that there are,
I need a new septic system. Can you assist me? Only if you put your house in affordable housing
Right.
restriction.
And that's what they should be
And
doing on
that's like.
CDBG too.
A new roof, a new septic system, a new heating system, as long as they are willing to restrict the house.
that's
And you
different
can-
than what I said. This young man wanted to buy an affordable unit.
Right,
Okay,
Yeah, but
The one-
this funds from the state, if you're looking for first-time homeowners too.
Correct.
Up to 50,000
yeah.
that you could go in towards a mass.gov.
Yeah.
There is.
But
a
say
lot of money
like
out there.
that affordable unit that went up for sale on Swiss Beach Road.
Yes.
It might be the same one we're talking about,
Yes.
maybe not. So, I didn't tell the individual earlier, but when I thought of it, and I know that, I says, well, this affordable unit's coming up. And then Mr. Schultz
Is that
said,
one gone in Swiss Beach?
It says it's under contract.
under agreement.
Good. So somebody bought it. That's beautiful.
Well, they'd be crazy if they didn't, if someone didn't.
Yeah, in fact, I had a previous employee, I said to him, when it came up, I was like, Jonathan, buy this place, please, go buy it.
That's basically what I said. But they had already put it under agreement. But I think, Carl said to him, you could request help in assisting, which is in our charter, in assisting with the down payment in a home. And it can be done as a grant, same as they do with CBDG, where there's a forgiveness of 1/15% per year or something. But if, it's how you structure it and how we'd agree to structure it.
Okay, all right, I am making no progress with either the town administrator or the planning office on SHI counting or records.
is Woodland Cove on there yet?
No, I'm gonna try to, I inquired with the state again. And, I don't know why it's not letting me in here.
Okay,
So I spoke with
There's nobody downstairs paying attention.
Margot Leclerc from Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities. And also Phil DiMartino, when I say speak, I'm talking about through electronic media. And it seemed on Woodland Cove, they missed the window of applying within 1 year of when the building permits were issued on the first, whichever phase they started first. So because of that, they have to wait until they get the occupancy permits issued for that phase. I don't know when the building permits were issued for the second phase that they started, and if those could be applied for now, or if they went back the 1 year period, and then they have to wait for the occupancy permits to be issued again.
now,
Yeah.
for SHI, the whole project will be listed as affordable.
Right, but they will only count units as, you have to do it either when the building permits are issued, and it only go on the SHI for a period of time until the project, and if they didn't start the project within, or complete it within 3 years or 2 years, it'd come off the
But that
SHI until it was completed and they got the occupancy permits. Now, if you put in for the early count, or if you put in for, if you don't put in for it, or if you issued the permits and you don't start the project within a year, the permit's issued,
So you'd have to go in and ask for an extension.
it won't be
of the
done,
permit.
well, it won't be done, they won't grant it on the SHI until the occupancy permits are issued for it.
For all 5 buildings? or just one building?
That's what I'm trying to pull
Because
it up.
this means at least 250 units on our SHI.
Right, and the problem is, there's no
Hundred and
one in the
56 over
town
there. No,
following
100
through
Well,
on
but
it.
we have 5 buildings, 50 units in each building?
No,
That's the first
they
building.
only did, they were granted up to that many, but they said they were only gonna be doing 3.
I thought I saw 5 buildings up.
Right, they were, what, back there might be 5 buildings, doesn't mean they have 56 units in each building, right?
Okay, 50 units in each
I'm
building,
not sure,
40 units in each building, that could be 200 units.
but it's 3 phases, and they pull the permits at different times to
Well,
start.
anyway.
In any case, the point is, no one in the town is following up on that.
Well, anyway,
And until we begin bringing pressure,
they are required to have 10% affordable, right?
I believe so.
If 10% is affordable, all of it is affordable
For rental.
for rentals. So it could very well be that when they're done, Woodland Cove could add as many as 200 to our SHI list. If, whatever the time frame
Yeah,
is,
but-
somewhere down the line.
As long as someone does all the paperwork.
The total number of units was like 150. Doesn't matter the
Okay.
number of buildings.
But
But
we're
right now, they
talking
only did
across-
phase 1 and 2. And because they didn't get the paperwork completed into the state within that year, now you have to wait till the occupancy permits are issued to get
Okay.
them counted. And on the other phase, whichever one they started, or came in, again, if they didn't get the paperwork in requesting that they be put on the SHI count within that year for the building permits, in-ground building, then after a year, then you gotta wait till the occupancy permits. are
And the
issued.
But
point
it's
that I'm-
coming. But somewhere down the line, it's coming that we're gonna have those counts.
Only if someone, because the reason they didn't make the deadline is the town didn't fulfill its part of the process.
And who's the town? Planning?
Yes,
Okay, Ken didn't do it.
yes.
Little busy. And it's.
Well, this
so-
has been a while.
And who's filling in for
But
Ken
Littleton
right now?
Drive got
No
done
one.
like snap.
Well, there's a big difference between Dakota Partners and,
I'm just saying, no one is filling in for Ken. He's working 19 hours a week. And there's no plans
So
to
there's still
backfill him
no
in the short
applicants
term.
coming in for his,
They've interviewed, they haven't found
but
either,
it wouldn't be Josh's responsibility under the new
no,
reorganization.
I don't believe so. But Derek
Does a
can't
good
tell me
job,
whose
huh?
responsibility it is.
he does a really good job.
Derek doesn't know whose responsibility it is.
Well, okay,
So remember a few
Wow,
months
wait.
back here, that we had the, that Ken came in and handed the,
The report
SHI
out.
list?
and he
Yep.
told us we made our 10%.
Right, and we did.
We
right?
didn't, I don't
As
believe
of-
so.
Because the permits weren't pulled, from my gathering. But if all the permits were pulled, we would have hit it.
Maybe, would be
Well, it
close.
depends on how many new units are being built.
And you can also request, safe harbor if you hit like 5 and 10% of what you're required to reach.
What do you mean? What's that safe harbor represent?
It
The
means it's
developer
like a
can't come
stay
in
of
and demand.
execution
Yeah,
in
we
that,
gotta stay from a development.
yeah, so you can say, hey, we don't like the program. They can't
Okay.
cram it down your throat.
Okay, I see.
So let's do a more positive example. Right now, a 40B developer could come into town
Yeah.
and say, I don't care that you've got a sewer moratorium, I'm building my project.
Yeah, we can't,
We
we
can't-
must
Right.
provide.
So I'm trying to be more positive and say, once we get the safe harbor, we could say, look, we gotta fix the sewer problem before we can take 500 more affordable units.
Yep,
There is a major discussion to release the moratorium on the 40B unit.
I've been watching.
Okay.
Thank you. And that's, honestly, guys, and Mrs. Slavin, that's exactly why I went in front of the sewer, just to put it out there,
You're on the list.
so the projects, so the town knows that the projects are coming down line.
Right.
So you guys can pre-plan on your
Yeah.
side.
Yep.
That's all,
Plus the
and get
increase,
support. you know?
plus the increase in flow you asked for, both are on the list.
Nice.
Okay.
I'm trying to-
Okay.
I'm
That was just my update
I'm
there.
running out of steam.
All right,
All
3 more minutes on an administrative item, not anticipated under 24 hours. Miss Nichols assured me that she would be here this week. I have gotten no communications from her. I have sent multiple emails for her. In all honesty, I haven't had time to call her. I don't know what to do.
Well, number one, write to the chairman of the another topic, select board. Where is our representative of the select board on our committee? You now have 2 new ones. Who would be here?
I
We
will-
really are only down to 3 active members. A select board member must be here. Who's it gonna be? And then 2, we are concerned that this, a member is not attending, and we would like to have a consideration to have her relieved, removed from membership.
The Ms. Whiteside is very aware of
Yep.
that issue because the person has a problem on another board.
Yep.
So,
2 things. Whiteside, where is our representative? Of course, they haven't had a meeting since the election, so
I
let me
was,
give them.
I was kind of
Given
waiting.
them.
We
But
haven't
let-
had a representative from the select board since November.
Yeah, that is correct, because no one really wanted it, and I didn't want Alan on it.
Oh, that would have been fun. I'd have paid to come to the meeting. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be,
We try not
And
to.
anybody they appoint, we want someone who can attend.
Yes,
yes.
We
and,
want the body.
and we're still looking at 9 o'clock on Tuesday morning, which is a good time. So, Whiteside, please, as part of our, ongoing business, please, have someone, join us on our Affordable Housing Trust. And 2, we would like to have action taken to remove this person as a member for not attending meetings.
So we can appoint
So
another.
we can.
Actively.
Take applications in for a new member.
All right, so can I get a motion on that and I'll do that?
Yeah,
So made.
All right, seconded by Sandy and all in favor?
yeah.
Aye.
Okay,
Jim Manise, aye. Motion
okay.
to
So I will
have chair
send that to the board.
sign the letter
And ask select board
to SB. Send it
to sign.
for 2 things, right?
Yep.
Appointment of,
And part of that is Jim and I are both up for reappointment.
When is your, this year?
Into June.
June 24th.
So I would
Did-
like
Oh,
on
I've
the
got a-
agenda, I would like on the agenda that you put down a consideration to vote for supporting reappointment.
I'm sorry, I would have done that for this month if I had known that was,
For
That's
June.
okay, we're safe.
Yeah. So just, I am making sure that all my committees in June have that article on their agenda to reappoint members that are up at the end of June.
I agree.
I don't need the select board to tell me.
But we're
that
safe.
We're safe. Yes, I think so.
We have a certain clause, which a lot of committees don't.
Yes. That we continue even,
what's that?
that we continue
Till they're replaced.
until we're replaced.
Where is that? Oh, that's interesting, I didn't know that.
State.
It's in the charter or the bylaws?
I think it's state for affordable housing trusts.
Great, can you just dig that up and let me know
It's in there
about that?
someplace,
Yeah,
that
I
we're here
can-
until we're replaced.
So, and I don't think people beating down the doors.
Then, you know what? Then the whole hoopla over Missy, because
I had told Missy that she could attend the meetings and vote until she was replaced. She,
Chose not to.
I,
Yeah,
but
because
I
they
wasn't
snubbed it.
aware, I wasn't aware of that, okay.
Someplace in the back of my mind, I remember what it wasn't in the front of my brain to mention it. Jim has it more in his front of his brain than I have in mine.
yeah, and I spoke with her about that, and I wasn't even on the committee then, just how I am, you know that. Appointment of SB member.
So on the next agenda, to vote to support reappointments.
Overall.
And if anybody's ready,
You wanna make a motion,
I make a
Sandy?
motion, we adjourn at 3:05.
Okay.
Seconded, all in favor?
All right, guys.
All right, thank
Good
you.
seeing everybody. Thank you.
Same here.
That's a very interesting thing. I did not know